Unseen forces are on your side. Hi, I'm Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. And today I want to remind you that unseen forces are actually on your side. But most of us ignore them or diminish their effect or deny that they even exist. In broadcast after broadcast here, I have worked to open your awareness to the fact that there is so much more to this world than we see through our eyes or hear through our ears. I've shared many viewpoints with you. I've reminded you of the words of J.B.S. Haldane. Now, J.B.S. Haldane was a pioneering scientist in physiology, genetics, evolutionary biology, and mathematics. And J.B.S. Haldane said, "The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. It is stranger than we can imagine." Now, I've shared with you the perspectives of philosophers and great thinkers like Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who is shouting from the rooftops that there's more to this world than we realize, with his famous quote, and I do quote here, "Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative, creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man could have dreamt would have come his way." Please click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. I'd really love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions. So you can choose the chat box on the right side of the screen or the comment section below the video. I'd love to hear from you. And the thumbs up is right below the video as well. Now, I'm sure that there's been a rare occasion or two in your life when everything seemed to fall into place for you. People showed up or things happened in your favor that you had no idea what happened. It's as if someone or something was looking out for you. Well, the truth of the matter is there was something looking out for you, and that was waiting in the wings still to look out for you. I know you think it wouldn't happen again, but there's something in the wings waiting to help you. There's something in the wings that is on your side and will do it again if you would only allow it. But you must allow it. So how do you allow it? How do you let that happen? Well, the first thing that you have to do is to stop locking it out. Stop resisting it. Stop holding it back. Because if you go back to those times when it happened, go back to those times when something seemed almost miraculous in the way they happened, you will probably notice that you were clueless at the time. You were in a state of openness, a state of surprise, rather than a state of being shut down and in denial. You were pleased, you were happy, you were open. The denial and all that negativity came afterwards. And we have a tendency to look back on situations like that and dismiss them as simply coincidence, or we discount them as something that could never happen again. And we take that position. We take that position because when we tell our friends and our family about this wonderful thing that happened, they tell us, well, it wasn't so magical, it was just coincidence, or you were just lucky. Well, here's a news flash for you. You weren't just lucky, and it wasn't a coincidence. You know, there was a quote I shared with you last week from Paul Coelho in his book called The Warrior of the Light. And in that book he states, "A warrior of the light knows that he has much to be grateful for. Angels help him in his struggle. Celestial forces place each thing in its place, thus allowing him to give his best. His companions say he is so lucky." And the warrior does sometimes achieve things far beyond his capability. That is why at sunset he kneels and he gives thanks for the protective cloak surrounding him. The protective cloak surrounding him. You know, we all have that protective cloak. We do. But we have punched holes in it. We've punched holes in it with our doubt and our disbelief. We live in a world where we are surrounded by stories and demonstrations of magical and spiritual wonders. These wonders occur, or occurrences appear in our electronic games. They appear on television series one after another. They appear in movies and fantasy novels and graphic novels and comic books. And I'm not talking about a few. I'm not even talking about a few hundred. I am talking about thousands upon thousands of these things. Games, shows, movies, books. They're there all around us, yet we immediately punch holes in the possibilities by denying the possibility that there is some truth in these messages. There is some truth in these stories, because we are afraid that it's going to be perceived as being childish, or our friends or family or authority figures are going to dismiss it. You know, they're always living in a quiet state of fear, and in that state of fear they will put things down and then we'll discount it as magical thinking or crazy and therefore invalid. But before you continue to fall victim to the short-sighted opinion of others, let me remind you of the words of the 19th century German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer said, "All truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as being self-evident." From being ridiculed to being self-evident. Of course, it makes sense. J.B.S. Haldane, who I referenced earlier, followed up with his own interpretation of that statement nearly a century later. He said there were 4 stages of acceptance. His 4 stages are: 1, this is worthless nonsense. 2, this is an interesting but perverse point of view. 3, this is true but quite unimportant. And finally 4, I always said so. That reminds me of a situation in my life many years ago, back in the late 1960s. I got fired from a job because I refused to work late one night at the job because I had to go to a class that I was taking to prepare for a job in the advertising agency business, which is where I wanted to go. Now, my boss at that time told me that if I did not work late, then he was going to fire me. So I said, okay, I would have to accept that. And then he told me that this whole advertising thing, this advertising agency thing, I was just chasing an empty dream, and that I would regret not keeping my job and working for him. But I went ahead and I got fired, and I went to the class. Well, a couple of years later, when my photograph appeared in a couple of newspapers to announce my winning an award for my work in advertising, I heard from a friend of mine. She told me that my former boss, the one who had fired me over my empty dream, had posted the article on his wall. And he was telling people that not only had I worked for him, but that he had encouraged me to go into advertising because he knew all along that I was destined to succeed. So there. He demonstrated Haldane's steps of acceptance. 1, this is worthless nonsense. 2, this is interesting but perverse point of view. 3, it's true but not quite important. And 4, I always said so. I always knew he was going to be successful. I was reading this article the other day entitled The 5 Most Common Regrets of the Dying, written by Bronnie Ware, or Bronnie Ware. Now, we all know that we're going to die. That's a given. It's part of the process. It's the circle of life. So before we get to that final stage, maybe we should take heed at what these people had to say who are on the brink of death. Because the first regret of the dying on her list was this one: I wish I had lived a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wished I had lived a life true to myself. You know, it takes courage to say to the world, this is who I am. This is who I want to be. And I am not who you think I should be. But until you can do that, you are shut down. You are closed down because you are playing a part that is not the part you want to play. So if you shut down and like that, the unseen forces who want to help you are unable to reach you because you're in hiding. You know, Henry David Thoreau said, do not lose hold of your dreams and aspiration, for if you do, you may still exist, but cease to live. Remember, the earth plane, this place where we're living, is not the end-all and be-all. This is merely a training ground where we learn about our power. The lessons we learn here will serve us as we resume our rightful place in the celestial planes as the powerful spiritual beings that we really are. Others may try to shut us down because they fear our rising while they stand still. They will shut us down for their own ends, but we will rise if we can stand up for ourselves and claim our own identity. Others will call us crazy. You've been called crazy. But you know what? Apple Computer a few years ago gave us some insight into being called crazy when they released a commercial called Think Different. And here's what that commercial said. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo. You can praise them, disagree with them, quote them, disbelieve them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things, they invent, they imagine, they heal, they explore, they create, they inspire, they push the human race forward. And while some see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. Are you crazy enough to change the world? Are you crazy enough to change your world? When I tell you that you are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence, I'm not just throwing meaningless words at you. I'm trying to break through your consciousness to activate all the important keys that make you happen, the key to your own self-awareness. I'm trying to wake you up to the truth of who you really are. Who are you? You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are a magnificent, powerful being who has merely forgotten who you are. You are above your body. You are greater than your body. Your body is merely a vehicle for you as a spiritual being to use while you are here down on earth in your training period. But you are so much more than that. You are the Son of God, and it is your birthright to enjoy the gifts of the kingdom. But you must claim them. You must open yourself up to the possibility that what you are is spirit. That what I am telling you is the truth. You know, you're like the prince in the fable where the prince was a pampered child, loved by his parents, the king and the queen. But in order for him to eventually claim his rightful place on the throne, he had to undergo a rite of passage. He had to go far away to a faraway land and retrieve a treasure, then bring that treasure back home. And when he did that, he would be able to take the crown. So he prepared himself and he went off to the faraway land of Egypt. Now remember, in sacred text, Egypt is symbolically the word, the place for refuge, or on the other hand, it's also the place for oppression. So Egypt has those special meanings. It's either refuge or oppression. Now, when he got to Egypt, he dressed as the natives dressed so that he could fit in. Of course, they knew he wasn't from there, but he wanted to fit in. And when they offered him food, he ate it. But when he ate the food, it made him lose his memory. And when he lost his memory, he became lost. And he fell into a state of deep depression. Finally, his parents, when learning of what had happened to him, sent an eagle to remind him of who he was. When the eagle arrived and began whispering in the ear of the lost prince, the beautiful voice of the eagle awakened him, reached deep into his soul and awakened him. And when he awakened, he remembered his mission, and he continued on his quest where he found the treasure, and he claimed the treasure that he had come seeking. The treasure was the pearl of great price, which appears in several sacred writings. The pearl of great price. What is it? The secret of knowing the truth of who and what you really are. What was he? He was divine. Who was he? He was the Son of the Most High God. And that is who you are. You are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, but you have forgotten who you are. But that pearl of great price is waiting for you to claim it, to possess it. The powerful unseen forces of the universe are waiting to help you to obtain that treasure of self-knowledge. It is in every sacred writer that we've known over thousands of years. Know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. Once you open up yourself to yourself and believe in yourself, you will gain the power that Jesus told us about in the book of John, chapter 14, verse 12. He said, "The works that I do, you shall do also, and greater works than these shall you do." The works that I do, you shall do also, and greater works than these shall you do. Let's close with prayer. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence. Thank you for showing us, for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and joining the work we have come here to do. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing us into this space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we're beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. As we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. We know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise because we are no longer cut off from you. by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending some time with me. Please remember to click on the thumbs up button below, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, which you can send to me by using the comment section below the video. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you again. And remember, my name is Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this has been On the Wings of Your Mind.